I'm Connor Freeman. I'm the assistant editor at the Libertarian Institute, and I'm the co-host of Conflicts of Interest with Kyle Anzalone, our news editor, where we bring you the worst news around the empire with 3 to 4 episodes every week. I'm against war because war is mass murder, conscription is slavery, and taxation is theft, as Murray Rothbard emphatically wrote in For a New Liberty, the Libertarian Manifesto. I'm against war because after the definitive moment in American history for my generation, September 11, 2001, we were mercilessly lied to by our government about why the attack took place. 19 hijackers, mostly from Saudi Arabia and Egypt, had taken over our civilian airliners and launched a kamikaze mission, killing about 3,000 Americans. The regime told us that they hate us for our freedom, but that was just a lie. They knew because Osama bin Laden and Ayman al-Zawahiri had made it clear in their speeches, interviews, and Osama bin Laden's fatwas for many, many years that their war against America, which had gone on throughout the prior decade, was over the fact that the United States primarily has a empire in their region, which includes military bases on Holy Land in Saudi Arabia near Mecca and Medina. We were using those bases during the Bill Clinton administration to bomb Iraq 3 to 4 times every week and impose a sanctions regime that killed hundreds of thousands of children and other civilians. Also, the U.S. was backing Israel, providing an indispensable and unconditional military, financial, and diplomatic support for its atrocities, illegal occupations, and war crimes in Palestine and southern Lebanon. That's why we were attacked on 9/11. And we weren't told that. Our government lied to us and then convinced us that we needed to be punished. So they imposed a police state on the American people that would make George Orwell blush and eviscerated our constitutional rights forever, set to work torturing people and launching wars throughout the Middle East, across Africa, and in Central Asia that killed between 4 and 5 million people and robbed the United States public about $8 trillion and roughly $8 trillion in interest to pay for it. They bankrupted the United States. We're over $35 trillion in debt. But instead of saying that, well, we need to end the empire, we need to cut the military budget, we have to cease our policy of seeking global dominance militarily and politically and economically. No, instead, Barack Obama launched the largest military buildup since the Second World War, shifting 2/3 of all American air and naval forces, along with hundreds of bases, to the Asia Pacific, encircling China for a future direct war. We restarted the Cold War with Russia after the dissolution of the Soviet Union. Instead of being a normal country in a normal time, we set about expanding NATO to Russia's borders, overthrowing governments, friendly governments to Russia and their near abroad, pledging to bring Ukraine into the NATO alliance, ingratiating them with the Washington-led bloc, and turning them into a de facto NATO state. And then provoking the war in Ukraine, sabotaging any attempts at peace deals brokered by third countries. And we've killed hundreds of thousands of Ukrainian young men, conscripts, using them as a human battering ram to weaken Moscow, eyeing regime change to destabilize them so that we can more comfortably go to war with China. We're headed down the path of war with Iran, a country of 80 million people, as a result of unconditionally underwriting Israel's genocide of the Palestinians in the Gaza concentration camp, as well as the occupied West Bank, and now their war against Lebanon. They've been bombing Syria, they've been bombing Yemen, we've been bombing Syria, we've been bombing Yemen. All this blood is on our hands. Approximately 150,000 Palestinians have been murdered, maimed, or buried under rubble in Gaza. Israel is now working to turn the West Bank and Lebanon into Gaza. We've been robbed by Washington over $20 billion to pay for this year alone. this Israeli apartheid state and its killing spree. Recently, the Gaza Health Ministry put out the lists of names of victims of this Holocaust that could be identified so far, over 34,000 people. And on that list were 710 infants who never even got the chance to have their first birthday. "710 infants under 1 year old. So babies are being born and slaughtered in this war as we support Israel's bombing of churches, mosques, refugee camps, schools, shelters, hospitals, every day, in our name and on our dime. George W. Bush's government, Donald Trump's administration, and now this current White House have eviscerated the international arms control regime between the U.S. and Russia. Obama committed the American people to spend at least $1.5 trillion over the next 30 years revamping and expanding our nuclear arsenal, eyeing Russia and China for just these kinds of conflicts. The U.S. is backing an invasion of Russia, Ukrainian invasion of Russia right now, and threatening to greenlight long-range missile strikes with missiles provided by Paris, London, and Washington, hundreds of miles into the Russian mainland. And Vladimir Putin, the Russian president, has made clear that if that takes place, that would mean NATO is fully at war with Russia and all that that entails. It does not have to be this way. We're robbed nearly $2 trillion every year to pay for the American global empire, our government's empire, and the national security state. It's about twice the yearly Pentagon budget. We're constantly violating American law and international law in these wars, particularly with our support to Israel. Antony Blinken lied to Congress after his own experts within his own department, the State Department and USAID, had told him that Israel was intentionally blocking U.S. aid from getting into the Gaza death camp to help those people who were having a man-made famine deliberately inflicted upon them under a full siege. If we want to prevent further Al-Qaeda and ISIS terrorist attacks on the homeland, the only way we can do that is if we cut off every bit of our government's support for this parasitic pariah state immediately. If we want to avoid nuclear war with Russia and China, we must stop Washington's Asia pivot. We have to get our troops off of Taiwan, off the island of Taiwan. We have to get our Navy out of the South China Sea. We're going to go to war with China, nuclear war with China. They have missiles and nuclear weapons that can hit continental American cities. And we're going to fight them to the death over unmanned rocks reefs and archipelagos and islands and islets in the South China Sea. That doesn't make sense. Or maybe the unmanned Senkaku Islands, which we pled to go to war with China over in the East China Sea, which are claimed by Taiwan, China, and Japan. This is how crazy the American policy is. In their pursuit of global dominance, they will think of the flimsiest of excuses to go to war with major nuclear powers, to fulfill their vision at the end of the Cold War of a unipolar world where what the United States says is the law, that our government can do whatever they want around the world, starving poor people in nations from Venezuela to North Korea, waging proxy wars inside of Russia, attempting to cripple the Chinese semiconductor industry, and preparing to launch a proxy war against them at a minimum, using Taiwan as another human battering ram, just like Ukraine. We can stop this. We can stop the extermination of the Palestinians. We can stop the coming war with China. We can stop the coming war with Iran. And we can stop the proxy war in Russia and Ukraine. We just have to be vigilant, informed, educated, determined, and persistent, and pressure our government into ceasing its depredations upon us and the rest of the world. Thank you very much.